He said that the children had convulsions. Those were his words. He said they fainted. He said they struck the partner. He called it the partner. This is the man who's raping the child. Okay. They struck the partner and tried to get away. And he said that those were all examples for him, of orgasm. The only human being in the world who could call an orgasm something that involved people throwing up, I mean, having convulsions, fainting, screaming, crying. The only person who could do that is someone who experienced that themselves. And that had to be a sadomasochist. And the only person who could apply their sadomasochism to an infant and a child would be a pederast, a rapist. And that's what Kinsey did. He was a sadomasochistic psychopath, and this is all documented. No surprise, of course, a pornography addict, naturally. So no surprise, indeed, that he concocted a body of research he called research, which claimed that 10 to 37% of the population was homosexual, that sexual acts with children are perfectly harmless, that all infants can have orgasms and that sort of thing, and created what we now call the sexual revolution or sexual anarchy. Remember, this was 1948, so it was just barely out of World War II, so there simply wasn't the kind of opposition to these lies that would have been expected at all. And they became the dogma for all human sexuality education, and we now see it in all our laws across every aspect of the Western world, or Judeo-Christian or English-speaking world.
Mm-hmm. Entire government policies in the Western world in particular have been conducted, created around this.
Absolutely. You were just speaking a few moments ago about I just caught the end of it, but certainly I've been following the UNESCO policies and Planned Parenthood, International Planned Parenthood Federation, and that sort of thing, and our recent injections, not inoculations, of little children for Hep B was before, but HPV now. All of this comes back to the notion that we are all sexual from birth, and Kinsey created that notion, and now we have the pedophile information exchange moving into what's called the minor attracted children, minor attracted persons efforts to destigmatize all pedophilia.
As Dr. Reisman noted, the model penal code was financed by the Rockefeller Foundation. Not coincidentally, the Rockefeller Foundation also financed the research of Alfred Kinsey. According to the Reis Committee, the postmodern thinking in America today is no mere accident, but has been intentionally created by the elite foundations as part of a greater agenda, one in which the work of Kinsey plays no small part.
So Kinsey actually had an influence on changing the criminal laws in the 1950s, but also in the 2000, the 21st century, with Lawrence versus Texas, continues to be cited in America at the Supreme Court of the United States and around the world. And yet his research is both fraudulent and criminal itself, because if you go
to sexual torture of up to 2,035 infants and children, the youngest being 2 months of age.
Right, and that is not, you don't have to take your word or my word, you just go to one table, table 34 in his 1948 book, and he lists that torture, that criminal activity against young children. And yet that fraudulent activity, the activity that he says from people who were raped, there was no consequential damage to them, that it was fine. All of that then was just basic, just abhorrent, criminal, fraudulent research perpetrated by somebody who was a sexual pervert.
And a sexual psychopath. The man tortured himself to death sexually, for goodness sake. Soft porn plays hardball, which reports my United States Department of Justice research on images of children, crime, and violence, where we found that Playboy had been systemically using children's images and pushing child pornography since 50.